going on, everybody? Welcome to What's the 411. Thank you guys so much for joining. I am super excited to be here. First of all, you see me wearing the merch, A Seat at Our Table. This was the weekend for A Seat at Our Table. Not only did we have the A Seat at Our Table marketplace that just came through. The marketplace was phenomenal. We also had the summit and it all went fabulous. So I just want to send a big shout out to everybody that participated, everybody that came out, everybody that supported. It was a phenomenal event. It went just great. It was awesome. And honestly, looking forward to doing this every season, continuing on and doing more. You know what I mean? So I'm also looking for you guys to check it out. Check out the summit. It's on my link tree. So just click the link in the bio. Check it out. Watch it. I know it's a long show, but please give me your feedback. Let me know what you're thinking about it. Let me know how you're feeling about it. If there's anything you think that would, spice up the show, anything we need to do to add it up, change it up, switch it up, all of that good stuff, please let me know. But welcome to What's the 411. I'm really excited to get into Rafiat. So excited about this. We've been, looking forward to this. We had Rafiat on. Hey, girl.
Hey, how are you?
How are you?
I'm well. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you good, yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yes. We had you on the summit was it the spring edition of the summit or the winter one?
It's spring.
Spring, yes. And so you did an amazing segment for us. And I was so excited to have you on the show. So I'm so glad that you were able to join me today, girl.
It was awesome. Thank you for having me. It was such an amazing summit. And congrats to you for another amazing summit and in person and market for all the things you're doing right now. I'm very super, super proud of you.
Thank you. So let's jump into it. Talk to me. Tell me, introduce yourself first, and then let everybody know who you are, what you do, and all that good stuff.
Sure. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Rafiat. I am an intuitive life coach. And basically what I do is help people to find a life that's filled with joy, peace, and fulfillment, moving from a place of depression, anxiety, and really come into who you are, your purpose, understanding your identity, your intuition, and living that out in life, that serves you the best.
Yes. So talk to us about how you got started.
For sure. Ooh, okay. And so, how can I put this in a way? All right. So I was suffering with depression and anxiety for 4 years, prior to 2020, and I actually wanted to commit suicide. I was actually contemplating committing suicide and also self-harm at a point. And so it was a really rough time. I didn't know who it was. I got really lost in a relationship that I was in. And I kind of, just lost the reins of life, right? Christmas time 2018, I actually lost my eldest brother. And that was a shock. His death was unexpected. And so seeing death up close like that was really like, whoa, you know what I mean? It started to really rock me. It had me thinking, do you really want to take your life? Is this really what you want to put your family through once again, right? And by which you can say I woke all the way up at that moment, but I didn't. I still went through, I was still down in the depths for another year. And in Christmas time of 2019, that's when I woke up. I had essentially a revelation because my sister was going through a very abusive relationship. And when she told me her story, I realized, oh, wait, I feel these same feelings. And I didn't realize. Right. And so doing some research and digging into her and talking to her, I realized wait, I'm going through an emotionally abusive relationship myself. And so I felt like I had a choice to make. I had to choose either to stay in this situation I was in and accept that this is my life, being lost, being depressed, not knowing, not wanting to go to work, not wanting to go to home. I lived with this partner at the time, or I can do something and change my life, right? And so that's what I ended up doing. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but I was like, let me just get some help and go from there. And thus, at the beginning of 2020, started my journey of really figuring out who I am. And that led me to my faith. And so I started digging a little bit deeper into faith and really asking the questions of what's my identity? What is going on here? I realized I wanted more of my life, but I don't have the base. I don't have my foundation, which is who I am. So how can I say what I wanted in my life? And so that started the journey of what it was. I really started to dig into who does God see me as? How do I see myself? How do I mesh those two together? And that led me to the road of intuition and really like, okay, what is this thing? Every time I listen to this thing, it works out. Every time I don't listen to this thing, I'm like, shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right? And so that led me to the journey of understanding what is intuition and realizing that's a real thing. And so what is that thing, right? And as I dug in deeper, it led me to understand, okay, if I listen to this intuition, it's actually guiding me. It's actually taking me on the path that's already determined for me. If I just can trust in it, which is part of the journey itself, learning to trust into something that's higher than yourself. But through being able to do that, I've been able to come into confidence in who I am. I've been able to come into confidence of what I do and helping my clients now as a coach do the same thing, but also helping people on my podcast understand that. So that's been the journey. It's really been a journey of coming to who I am. So that's it.
Wow, that's amazing. First of all, big up yourself on all of that because
Thank you.
Easy. Yes, man. It's not easy to dig yourself out of a rut. It's really not easy. And then to keep yourself out of there and then want to bring other people up too. So,
yeah. It's been a thing. Thank you. It's been a thing, but I really believe, hey, Rashida, and hey, everybody else watching. I just really think that I think sometimes you get into a place, well, for me anyways, purpose means service. And so I know we'll talk a little bit more about that, but I really feel like when you get to a place where you understand a little bit more, it becomes a service to you. So that's why it becomes easier to help other people through it because it's not about you anymore. Even though that's hard because we are human, but you know what I mean? It's easier.
For sure. So you talk about this intuition, which I love. Talk to us. Let us know, what is intuition?
Okay. And so intuition is something that we all have as humans, right? So I want to explain the basic concept first, which is it's one of our mental faculties. So by mental faculties, I mean how our mind takes in information and then sorts it out and makes sense of it, right? And so there is intuition, there's perception, there's reason, will, memory, and imagination. So those are the ways our mind works, right? It's really miraculous in itself. So intuition, I believe, is that deep knowing within yourself, right? For me, it comes up as my heart beating like crazy. It's a knowing in your gut. For some people, they feel it. It could be that something that tells you that warning, that tells you maybe you shouldn't do this. Some people say it, that vibes that they feel from people. All that is true. It talks in a bunch of different ways, depending on who you are. But really and truly, what I feel like, it's our direct communication with God. It's that line that's just like he's telling you yes or he's telling you no. And if you're a more intuitive person, then you tap in and you listen to it. So that's what I believe it is.
And so when you follow your intuition, as you were saying, sometimes it leads you, most of the time when you follow that intuition, you feel like you've done the right thing, right?
Mm. Yes. Yeah, you definitely do. I think you know it. There's this unseen know. You ever get that feeling where just like, I gotta do this thing. I don't know why. I just have to do it. That's what I'm talking about. It's just that deep sense. Nobody has to tell you about it. It's just something within yourself. And that's why you usually feel good about whatever it is that you did. And that's why also you don't feel good about it when you didn't do it, because you felt like you kind of betrayed yourself. And that's where I was at the beginning, right? I felt like I hadn't listened to myself for so long. And so I portrayed myself constantly, right? And so it was hard to listen to myself. So I had to kind of peel back those layers so I can kind of get to what is Rafiat even saying, right?
And then, so can our intuition, or maybe not our intuition, but can we be tricked sometimes into what we think might be our intuition?
Oh, I love that question. Yes. I think it's easy to be tricked if you're not sure, right? Like if you're a person, as I said, you don't quite trust your own voice, it's easier to trick you, right? I'm not sure how deep you want to get here, but there's things happening around us, that we can't always foresee or that we know, and sometimes they influence the way we think about ourselves in particular. And so at that point, it's easier to be tricked because you're not really standing on the truth. For example, if when you were younger, somebody always told you you won't amount to nothing. Let's say, you won't be good at anything. That might be something that's playing in the background of your subconscious and your mind. So you always measure everything to that, but that's not really you, right? So that's a trick because that's not who you are. It's just something that somebody told you that somewhere ago stuck as a part of your identity.
Right, right. Yes, but if you want to get deeper, you definitely can. I don't know if you were going to talk about maybe a spiritual aspect towards
Yeah.
when it comes to intuition,
Okay.
right?
Yes, girl. Yes. So if we can touch on it, yeah, because the spiritual aspect is it's real, right? Like for me, a lot of people are into intuition, but they don't realize that you're saying when you say you believe in intuition, you're saying that you're believing in spirits, right? And so if you're believing in spirit, you have to understand that there is good and there is bad, and so that bad influence, those other spirits that you don't necessarily want a part of your life, they're vying for your attention too, right? They're fighting to discourage you. They're fighting to knock you off purpose because I do believe, as I said, your purpose is service, and your service is probably going to break somebody else free. And so if you're not careful and you stay distracted, then you're knocking yourself off where you're supposed to be. And they like to thrive there. Right? I call that the darkness. It likes to thrive in the darkness. And then when you come to the light, right? When you come to truth of who you are, when you come to understanding who you are, it's easier to listen to your intuition because you'll know how it starts to feel. One of the things that I'm working on now is, well, is understanding the somatic practice of intuition. So the actual body sensations that you feel. Because what I noticed with some people, well, I'll say an example with myself. So at first, for me, it looked like overwhelm, right? So that could be a trick, right? You can think like it's just overwhelming thinking, this is anxiety going crazy, right? Like it's making me overthink everything. But I realize that's my warning sign, right? So if I'm looking at things, if I'm overthinking now too much, that tells me, oh, intuition's telling me something's not right here. That's why you're thinking about it so much. That's why your anxiety is kicking in, right? And so I think it's all a journey of understanding who you are. And that's what I help my clients to do, is understand how your intuition is talking to you specifically, because me and you are different, right? That's what it's going to look like to me. And that's what I love about, for me, I told you it's my communication with God. And that's what I love about God, because he created every one of us individually. So we're special and we're unique, but he knows exactly how to talk to you. And I think that's really great, because I think that's what's hard in this world now, because we look for information, we look for advice outside, which is awesome, but sometimes the advice is right in you, right? It's right there, and it's trying to guide you. And as I said, those outside voices will use those outside influences to vie for your attention and take you off track, because now you think, oh, it's not working out for me, so I need, some influencer to tell me how to do X. When really it works for them, but because it's them, right? Not to say it doesn't work, it works for them. And maybe some of it will work for you, but maybe you need to sit down and think about, okay, well, is that going to work for me exactly? Or do I need to tweak it here or tweak it there so it works for my personality?
Right. And that's important, because outside influences are everywhere, especially with social media, especially with, even our family, our friends. There's so much going on all the time that we're like, are we doing the right thing? Should I be in this lane? Should I be in that lane? Where do I fit in? Right. So yeah.
That's the thing, right? Like it's everywhere. Like external, we are kind of in this society where we're meant to believe that we should listen to others before ourselves. I had this really great podcast episode with my nephew called Playing Into Your Intuition, and he's 9. And I love that conversation because it made me remember that, like, yeah, kids don't have to worry about what the world thinks, not yet anyways, right? It's not until we get a little bit older and we start losing that confidence of who we are, because other people start telling us who we are, right? And now we start looking for what they say instead of what we say, and that's how we fall into that trap of, maybe she's right because she said this, or maybe he's right, or, not to say that it's not the case for everyone, but generally, we were more free when we were kids. Maybe your childhood stopped earlier because of whatever happened in your life. But for the most part, when you came to this world, you were just here to be, right? So.
100%, I agree. As a kid, I tell my kids all the time too, like, just enjoy it, man, because you're living your best life right now.
Yes, yes. And they're like, I want to be an adult. We're like, no, 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 chill. Wait.
Take your time. Take your time. So talk to us about your podcast. I like the name of it, Follow Your First Mind. Talk to us about the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. So follow your first mind is actually an old proverb for all Jamaicans out here. So follow your first mind, and that's where it comes from, is when you didn't listen to your intuition, when you didn't follow your first mind. And that's something that my mom used to say to me too. So I think that's where I remembered it and it came from. But essentially on the podcast, what we do is I share my story and my guest stories about how they listened to their intuition, how they overcame challenge situations, and how it really guided them to be resilient. Because I think that's kind of the point of all this, right? We are resilient beings, and you're able to overcome things that happen to you. But if you start to pay attention to the clues within you. So the podcast is really just other people's experiences while sharing how they did it. So hopefully it resonates with more people so they can see, oh yeah, baby, I think like that, or that resonates with me, just to make people think. And I'm all about action. So at the end of each episode, I pose a question, a reflective question, a journal prompt even, just to have people think like, it's time to do the work. It's work to be done when you do these things, when you start the journey.
Right? It's like I call it life work, because honestly, there's no end to it. You just gotta keep going.
Yes.
Always so much to do. Like,
Yes. It's all for your betterment, though. It's all for your betterment. Like, I really believe that it's a lifelong journey. It is a life work because we're not dead yet. And so therefore, if you're still here on this earth, that means there's more for you to do. There's more people connected to you. There's more impact or influence for you to have. And so by influence, I mean, and impact, I mean, even in your small circle, like if you have children, like you said, like that's an impact. You are literally helping these little ones become humans, like become adults, and they're going to serve in this world. And even if you don't have kids, if you have nephews or nieces or whatever, it's all a part of that work. And so I think that's why it's important to continue life work, because as long as we stay humble, we'll always get to know the kind of like the next level of ourselves. Once we think we know everything, I think that's the catch. That's the biggest trick, actually. When you think you know everything already.
We don't know. When you think you know, you realize you know nothing. Like, we really don't know nothing.
That's it.
It's crazy. So talk to us about intuition coaching. Like, you're an intuition coach. Tell us what that looks like, and if we needed your services, what type of services that you provide.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. I'll start with if you need this service. So what it will look like. So essentially, I help people. The people that I help, I'll say first, are those who are kind of feeling lost in their life. If they're not sure where they're going, they felt like they lost their identity, or they felt like I'm going through this depression or feeling stuck in my life and I just can't shake it. I've been doing different things, but it's just not working out for me. Or I felt like I'm trying, like every time I take one step forward, it's like 3 steps back, 2 steps forward, 4 steps back. Like everything they're trying is just not working out for them. Those are the people that I help specifically. And what I do with them is helping to really identify what is their identity. Who are you? Who do you say you are? And who does God say you are? And how do we align those together? Because as I said, I believe that if you're in spirit, so I'll explain this so it makes sense. What I think of as alignment is spirit, soul, meaning your intellect, your emotions, all that, and then your body, right? That is when we're in sacred alignment and divine alignment, and we're walking in now what I felt God has called us to be, right? Because He sees us as higher than what we see ourselves, right? And so when we align ourselves with understanding that identity, now we can move in the world and how He sees us. And so when we align those two together, we accept, I'm a pretty amazing person. And you have a different confidence, different air, because you start to see yourself how He sees you, right? Which is loving and great and amazing. right? And so that's the first step. And once you do that, then we start to look at, okay, how do we define your intuition? How does your intuition actually look like? How is God actually talking to you, right? What does that look like in your body? How does he decipher things to you? Because I believe it's many things. For example, for me as well, intuition could be you answered my prayer, right? I know what I pray about. You have no idea. But if you said something I know I pray about, I know that's an answer. You know what I mean? And so maybe I got to start putting the clues together. So I teach, I really help my clients understanding how do you put those clues together so it makes sense for you and you can know what direction you're going into. And then the last phase is really how to understand your influence. Sorry, and so that's understanding your purpose, having confidence in what you feel like he's called you to do in this season, right? Because I feel like there's different types of purposes. There's your overarching purpose in life, but in every season there's a purpose for you, depending also who's in your life. And so coming into understanding what that looks like to you and then really start to walk in that. So walking in that really means in peace. For me, my intuition is, my peace is my barometer for intuition, right? So if my peace is off, then I know something's off, right? And so that's what I like to help people understand. It's like we come back to peace. Peace is your emotional home. And so how do we move with that through the rest of your life, right? It's hard when life's, a lot of things happen. A lot of things happen in life, but getting back to that peace is where you're meant to be. And so walking in that, living in rest, right? Knowing that you don't have to carry the world on your shoulders anymore. That's not your job. We're only human. Let God do what he's supposed to do, right? He's supposed to be in control. Let him do that. I think really that's the abundant life that he's promised us, is this having peace and joy in your life, having happiness in your life, being able to rest in him and know that things are going to work out, being able to experience love in a deep way with all the people in your life, right? So that's what I help them to understand. So purpose is kind of all of that together. And then the bonus, the cherry on top is being able to make money from it, right? But depending on whatever your purpose is, if you can monetize it, awesome. Let's do that too. But I think it's all those things. So that's really what I help my clients to do, is really how do we put all these things together and make your life into like this capsule that you can understand and that you can be proud of. Because I think a lot of people kind of lost that pride in their life.
So true. All of those things are so important to remember, especially like you touched on letting go and giving control, like realizing that our lives are not really our own. You know what I mean? Like we gotta give up the control and stop trying to, make sure everything is aligned according to our plan, because this is a great plan.
Girl, that has been the whole lesson of my whole life. Really, like learning how to surrender. That's the only way the intuition is going to work. You have to understand that you are not in control of everything. However, understand that a part of our human nature is control. That's the catch-22. So it's not to beat yourself up or kick yourself because you want to control everything. That's just part of the way we're designed. But also that's faith, being able to let go and say, it's okay. I still trust that you're going to work everything out for my good. One of the verses that I really held on to is Jeremiah 29:11, which states that, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord's plans to prosper you, not to harm you, to give you hope in the future. I can't tell you how many times I've said that, because that has literally kept me going throughout the whole year. Because you're not going to know everything. We just can't know everything. Yes, I know it's a year of uncertainty. I understand it's been hard for a lot of people, but that's just like life. Like that year was a microcosm of life in general. We just don't know everything. At any moment, anything can happen. And so for me, it was trusting the fact that, okay, he's got the plan though. He knows what's happening though, and it's going to be for my good. It's going to be to prosper me, and it's going to be to give me hope in the future. So I can trust in that,
Definitely. And then also forgiveness, like forgiving yourself for, thinking these ways, sometimes we're hard on ourselves.
That's so huge. Just today I was going through that. Again, had to be it happens because it's ebbs and flows, right? And so sometimes you have to realize I okay, I have one of the modules in the program that I design where I take my clients through is understanding how to forgive, how to experience forgiveness. I'll say that, how to experience forgiveness, right? Because if you believe in the Lord and you believe that He already forgave you, okay, but you don't feel it. So what happens, you know? And usually it's because we haven't forgiven ourselves or others in our life. And what I want people to understand is that it's a process of forgiveness. It's not just a one and done. You may say it one time, indeed, that's awesome, but you're gonna have to say it again because you're human and we swing. We go back and forth. Imagine like, swing sets, right? You just kind of go back and forth, and that's what happens. As I was saying today, I was like getting on myself, and I'm just like, you need to chill. Like you just need to chill, you know what I mean? And that's okay. And I just say, yeah, I forgive you for you're condemning yourself right now. All right, maybe you need to go sit down and take a nap. Let's do that. You know, it's the first day of the cycle. Maybe you just need to, like, you know what I mean? So it's giving yourself that grace, and saying the words like Rafiat, I forgive you. You know, Ellie, I forgive you for, and being specific and saying what it is because that part of you needs to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you do like in affirmations?
Oh, yes. Yes, I definitely do. Affirmations are so important. Affirmations, I think, once you get to the root of the things, right? Because there's two steps. You get to the root of the thing, you take out the thing, is forgive yourself for that thing, and then you do your affirmations. And so for me, I like to do affirmations. I actually have alarms that go off at different times of the day that remind me to affirm different things, right? It depends on either what I'm working on or what I've been feeling lately or what I felt like my intuition's been talking to me about lately. My affirmations will surround that. But I definitely think you got to talk kindly to yourself. We've been so, as I said, self-condemnation used to be my thing, right? Those who don't know what condemnation is, it's like you're judging yourself. That used to be what that anxiety did, right? That depression did constantly, right? Judging yourself. And so I know now I have to be extra mindful to be kind to myself because my subconscious is used to being negative. So I have to retrain that, right? It's like our brain is like a computer and you have to rewire the wiring. It likes to go the easiest, fastest route, which is what it's always been doing, which is whatever negative thinking you were doing, right? And so affirmations help you to retrain you to go any way, but you got to get to the root of it. So if you still find like you're still going through the same thing, like the same situation keeps coming up in your life, is because you have to go to the root of whatever it is, right? And then you put the healing on top, right? It's like a flower or a weed, let's say. Remember, if you just cut the top off the weed, it's still going to come back. You got to deroot that thing. And then really, a part of that is the healing process.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So finding purpose, we talked about finding purpose a little bit earlier. That's something that can be difficult at times, maybe a challenge. Talk to us about how we can understand finding our own purpose.
So I think first to understand your purpose, because I used to be one of those people always searching for purpose. I knew I wanted to be in business, but I didn't understand how, didn't know. I was always like, I always did multiple things. And I think your purpose kind of comes from, I'll be frank. I think purpose comes from a pain in your life. Something that you've gone through that one, you yourself don't want to go through again. And two, you want to help other people not go through that thing. And so if you're not at that point in your life yet, that's okay. Just whatever events are supposed to happen that line you up to that thing just hasn't happened yet. Right. And then, so I think it's kind of, again, it goes back to surrender and letting things happen, opening your eyes, right? But I think really understanding your purpose comes from understanding what are the gifts in this situation right now. Like going through depression, I used to be upset with myself for letting myself go through depression, right? I'm trained as a social service worker. I understand mental health. I've worked in the community. I've done all the training. I get mental health. And yet I was still there. You know what I mean? So I was upset with myself for a long time for that. And so I think you have to understand the gifts in where you are, and that helps you to unlock your purpose and understanding what your purpose is.
And does that change for us, like in the course of our lives? Do you think purpose, like maybe in this season of your life, like you were saying before, sometimes you have a different purpose and then you're moving on to a different season and you may find a new purpose in your life?
Yeah, I think there's an overarching purpose. Like, I believe I'm meant to here to help people to take inspired actions, right? To help to change their life. That's my overarching purpose. However, different seasons of my life will look differently. So at the beginning of the year, I started the podcast. That was a different form of purpose. Right now, I have my coaching program. So that's what I mean by different seasons has a different year, have a different purpose. But I think all in all, they're always going to be intertwined somehow. Like they're going to complement each other. And I think that's how you know you're still on the same path. But when you're doing like something left, something right, you're too divided. And I think at that point, you're not really in purpose yet or in alignment yet.
Gotta follow that intuition.
You gots to.
But talk to us about faith. I know you're big on your faith. Speak to us about how that has an impact on your business.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm huge on faith because I really believe that my faith saved my life and helped me to restore my life to where it is. And so my business is a faith-based business. I do believe that I am being led by the Father in my business in all aspects. My business is just an aspect of my life, so He's leading my life. And so that is just another like stop on the list. You know what I mean? So faith is definitely everything to me because, as I said, I felt like in this realm of intuition, understanding spirit, and you have to understand that when you're in alignment, spirit is first.
So what is the difference? Because you said spirit, soul, and body, right? So what's the difference between spirit and soul?
Okay, I love that. So I'll explain the opposite, the soul first. So soul is actually you, right? And so your soul is your thoughts, your memories, your personality, those things. And so your spirit is actually the life force that gives you life, right? And so I'll explain it this way. This is the way that I learned it. If you believe in the way that we believe that spirit and body came together in order to make you, right? And so I'll explain in the biblical terms. So if you believe that God breathed life into Adam, right? So his life being spirit, he breathed that into Adam, which was just a body at one point, right? It was just there. So that spirit animated the body, so gave it life, and the mixing of the two gave you gave you soul. So that's where you live though, right? So your soul is those two coming together. So your soul is what's in the middle here. So your soul, as I said, is your mind, how you think about things, your personality, how you do things. But your spirit is just your core. That's who you are at the core of you. So if you're someone who's always kind, if you're someone who is always ambitious, that's just you. You know what I mean? And your body is our outwardly. Our body is what interacts with this physical world.
And so I know you do Fearless Fridays. Also, talk to us about what Fearless Fridays are.
Yeah. So Fearless Fridays is my live show. And essentially right now, right now I'm doing it Fridays and Wednesdays. Doing it called a Friday. I decided to remix it, called the Fearless Remix, and do something new. Essentially what we're talking about is how to rediscover and how to reinvent yourself through understanding your intuition, right? And how do you actually move it? So I cover different topics. Or it's just short, usually some kind of life lesson, because that's how I think. Something's a life lesson. For example, the last one that we talked about was owning your story and how to accept everything that you've been through in order to go where you're going, right? Because everything you went through in the past made you who you are in this present moment. That's one thing I should mention about spirit. Spirit's always present. And so when you can tap back into your spirit, so that could be whether you're doing a breath work or something, like just taking a couple deep breaths, you come back into present, that's where you're coming back into alignment with your spirit. Because spirit is there's no past or future, just here, right? That's what we really have right now, this moment, right now. But anxiety makes us think of the future. Depression makes us think of the past. So spirit helps us to just breathe and get back to our present where we really are.
So would depression or anxiety, is that like a, where does that that affects our spirit, but where does that come from? Is it coming from our body?
That affects our soul. So it affects our soul, right? So it affects the way we think. It affects the way we perceive. Remember, I said it's a part of that mental faculties I talked about earlier. So it affects your perception, which is really, really huge. We don't really think of perception as big as it is, but perception literally is your reality. That's how you view the world, and that's what it affects the most. And so, if you are a person, for me, anyways, depression looked like to me, I would pick apart every conversation I had. Like if I went to work and I came home, now I'm thinking about, oh, I shouldn't have said this, I shouldn't have done this, and this happened. So I'm really dwelling in the past, right? And then my anxiety would kick in, and I would think, okay, tomorrow, don't do this, don't say this, da 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 da. Make sure these people perceive you in this kind of way, right? And so it would keep you kind of locked in one area and not using all the other mental faculties, like a memory, to actually remember what actually happened. It might have been just fine. You know what I mean? Or your reason to kick in and say, listen, girl, it's okay. Or your imagination to really think big about your future, right? Or obviously your intuition, it suppresses your intuition.
Yeah, for sure. Well, those are all important things because I think we've all been there, confused and not aligned with that spirit and soul,
Yeah.
which causes a big confusion in our lives,
Exactly. I'll be honest with you. We are meant to reign. Like we are really meant to be on this earth to just like kick ass in life. You know what I mean? We're not here supposed to be struggling so much, but our soul trying to be in the top spots, it makes us kind of fall a little bit because it's not in the right order. You know what I mean? And so, but it's not fault of our own. It's just the way our life has been given to us. And so, us coming into ourselves and learning to love ourselves and learning to find our faith and love ourselves more through our faith and love who are around us helps us to put things in the right order so that we can perceive the world in a better way.
Very true. Very true. So give us some keys on self-confidence, building up ourselves, how we can make sure that we keep ourselves aligned with our spirit. Like when our soul is acting up and acting out, how we can bring ourselves back.
Yeah, for sure. The first one is acknowledge it. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge the soul. It is acting up for a reason. It may be triggered by something or it needs something, right? I kind of call it also like the little you, right? So there's a point in your life somewhere emotionally you got stuck in something. Something happened to you. Some kind of traumatic event happened to you. And so if you're freaking out right now, it's because that part of you is popping its head up. It's like, I'm not here for this. This is looking like that last thing that we dealt with. And I don't like it. You know what I mean? And so it most likely is some kind of fear, right? And so when we are able to acknowledge it and say, okay, hey, I hear you, maybe it just needs that. Sometimes it just needs to be like, okay, I see you. We're scared right now. Like sometimes you just gotta say it. Like today I had to I'm angry. I don't really know why, but I'm mad. Okay. All right. Give it what it wants. It wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be seen, right? Everybody wants to be seen and heard. So you got to give it that at first. And then you can kind of move on. Now you can kind of put either your affirmations, if you do affirmations, or if you listen to music to get yourself back up, or if you journal, I'm a big journaler, or if you just you pray, whatever you do after that, give yourself that balance. But the first thing you got to do is acknowledge that it's there, or else it's just going to keep coming back up because it thinks it's trying to tell you something. It is trying to protect you from something. Right? That wall came up because you were hurt in some kind of way, and it's trying to protect you from getting hurt again. Even though you're fine, right? Even though you could be chilling in your bedroom, you're fine, but it doesn't realize that. So it's trying to protect you. So you gotta let it know that it's okay. I got this though. Like I'm in control, actually. Thank you, but I'm in control, and we're good.
Yeah. Okay. So just acknowledge, and then what else would we do? Like when we acknowledge the point that we're not having this, or we are having this anxiety, or we're having this thing, and we do the thing, like we say our affirmation, or is there a point where it gets better? You know what I mean? Like, do we have to constantly be doing this all the time, or what do you think?
I appreciate that question because I think a lot of people feel like there's an end point. No, what makes it what it is that you just get easier. It gets faster. Um, it's our bounce back ability. It's we're going to sway, we're going to feel negative emotions. And I think that's the second one I will say too is you got to feel the emotion. If you don't allow yourself to feel it, it's also going to keep coming up. So you got to acknowledge it and feel the feelings, right? Like if you're frustrated, feel frustrated for that whatever period of time you got to feel it for. um, Let it express itself. All emotions are trying to do is express itself. I think of it as information. Your body is telling you something's wrong right here. So your emotions, same thing, something's wrong, right? And then you can kind of move forward into whatever that you do to make you feel better. But definitely expressing it through and understanding that the more you do it, the easier it gets to be able to recognize I'm triggered or whatever it is, feel it and move through it, right? That's what makes life, it getting back to your center. But there's things that always going to knock you off. Like life happens. People are going to upset you. People are going to hurt you. They don't always mean to or intend to. But you're human too. So people affect you in different ways. And so I think when people understand that we're actually in relationship with others, right? We relate to other people in different ways. And sometimes that relationship gets broken down or, different things happen. It could just be like, I'm sure you have children, so I'm certain there's certain things that your child just frustrates you, but you love them, right? Say, okay, whatever, you deal with it, but you don't stay mad, right? But the mad has to feel and then it's gone. Gotta let it go through.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And not stay in that feeling as well. We gotta just let it pass.
When you stay there, that's what keeps you stuck. That's where you get stuck, right? That's where when you make like rash decisions out of that place, you may feel like you move forward, but you're still kind of stuck because if you look back, you're really not moving. You're really not moving where you want to be. Maybe not in the pace you want to move it to. Like those are things you have to be careful about because I look back and I say 4 years to you, but when I was in it, it didn't seem like 4 years. I felt like I was moving forward. I felt like, yeah, I'm doing all these things for my life. And look back, I was like, oh, I was absent for 4 years. That was huge for me. That's why presence is so big now. I look back, I don't have many memories from that time. That's huge, right? Because I was always in my head. And so I think it's important that you have to understand that like you got to give yourself that grace to know that you're going to feel negative emotions. It's okay. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes they really are warning you about this person or this situation.
So tell us, what keeps you motivated? What keeps you going? I mean, you're doing amazing things out here, supporting people. Just your story in general is phenomenal as well. How do you keep pushing?
Yeah, thanks. uh, I have to say faith again. Like the way I think of it, there was a time in my life when I thought I was doing it all on my own, and that sucked, right? Like I was in depression, let's be honest. And so for me now, I'm like, okay, now that I'm doing this faith seriously and really building my relationship with God, I can see how much better it is. And so for me, that keeps me going because I know that He is leading me, even if I don't understand what's going on or exactly how it's going to work out. I know that He's here, and so really, my faith keeps me going. And then the second thing is, well, part of that faith is obedience. So for me, I believe it's like I'm just being in obedience, right? I'm just walking one foot in from the other, right? Like I'm still here, so I can even if it's just one foot, it's still going. So that to me is really big. And I think the second thing that keeps me going is I'm a visionary type person. I want to see better in my life. I want to see better in other people's lives. So knowing your values, knowing what's important to me, that stuff's important to me. So that helps me to keep me going because there's going to be, as I said, we're human. I'm going to feel negative emotions. There's going to be times when I don't want to do anything. Sometimes I give myself that time to not doing anything too, right? Sometimes you got to give yourself that moment. Um, but yeah, I definitely, I keep getting up because I'm still here. I think it's that moment when I was telling you that my brother passed away and I had to go to the States to bury him. And my name is Rafiat. So even though I'm Christian, my father is Muslim. And so we buried my brother as a Muslim. And that was the first Muslim funeral I've been to. And so in a Muslim funeral, if people are not aware, you actually just bury the body in a white cloth. There's no caskets. There's none of the things that we expect. Flowers. There's none of that. It's literally the hole in the ground, and the body goes into the hole in the ground. And that really shocked me, right? That really shocked me and showed me how serious that it is that we only have ourselves, right? We only really have what you bring into this world. But being your best you is probably the most important thing you can do in this world, since none of these things can come with us. None of these things even really matter. So being the best you can be is probably the best way to also keep yourself going.
That's definitely really important for sure. So let us know if we are looking to sign up to your program and anything that you have going on. Let us know how we can do that and how we can stay.
Yeah, for sure. So definitely reach out to me via Instagram. You can send me a DM. We can talk. We can set up a call. We can just kind of figure out. I like to also help people through giving them a 30-minute coaching session. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. You can find my website at rafiatahmed.ca. But yeah, I'm usually on Instagram. So just reach out to me, ask me any questions, and like that is cool. What am I working on right now? I would really love to do a retreat, but I don't know now. Things are changing again where we are. So I'll keep you guys posted. But that's the biggest thing right now is just being in purpose. And right now, if he says coaching, then coaching is what it is. So if you need some help, I am here to help you.
Awesome. And do you have anybody that you would like to shout out? Anybody that you know has helped you to, do your thing out here? Let us know.
Ooh, so many people, yourself included. I think every connection you meet is, as long as I think you feel in your gut when that. Um, let's think. I think my sister at her thing is at Rashida Ahmed. She's a sexual educator and coach. She's helped me tremendously, just being a support and helping me. I left my relationship of 7 years at that time, and so she's helped me tremendously to like find myself as well. I love our mutual friend Jamelia at I Am Diamond initiative. No, sorry, at Diamond Initiative. There you go. That's hers. She's a great girl too. She helped me to really believe in who I am and find the confidence in who I am. So I love her for that. If I want to shout out, if you're ever on Facebook, Leah Bridges. She's an amazing coach. She talks about how to come into being a better leader. She's in Australia, but she's an amazing person connected. She's a God-fearing woman as well. So if you're in a position of leadership and you want to help yourself, if you're also looking at getting into coaching, she helps coaches as well. That's her thing. But amazing prayer warrior. I mean, we meet all the time and we pray over businesses. And I just love being in community like that. People who are going somewhere. That's my community.
Definitely got to send a big shout out to Jamelia because she's the one who linked us up and got us connected.
Yes, I know. I'm so grateful for good people.
Before I let you go, I would just like to know if you had pardon me?
So grateful for good people.
Yes, right? She's definitely a good person. She's great. She's great then. But before I let you go, I want to know if you have like a quote or a motivational saying, phrase that you kind of go by that you'd like to leave us with.
Yes, I would say when the times where my emotions are really going crazy or I'm feeling really confused, I don't know, what I like to pray is I ask God, what is his perspective over the situation, over my life, whatever it is that I'm going through, because chances are I'm not receiving the situation well. And that's why I'm struggling. So when I can ask him and allow him to give me the answer, right? That's the other part, is staying still to hear the answer. Chances are he helps me to see the peace and the gift and whatever it is. So I always ask, I always pray, God, what do you perceive here? How are you seeing this? Because I do believe that he's sovereign. So if his vantage point is over everything, me from just here, I can only see so much, but he sees it all. So help me see what I don't see, essentially, is what I'm asking him.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you. Such a great conversation. I loved it.
Me
I
too.
can't wait to see you again in person. It was great to meet you in
I
person
know,
finally,
finally.
right? So I'm
Thank
looking
you.
forward to our next little event where we can get together and, chat as well. But thank you so much, Rafiat, for coming through. I
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you
you.
for having me. Thank you for having me. Thank you for all you guys who tune in and watch. I appreciate you guys. And honestly, blessings to all that you're doing. I cannot wait to continue to watch your journey and to see the more people that you're connecting. I'm very proud, I should say, for the amazing things that are happening now in this world. And I'm glad that you are part of it.
Thank you, girl, and you the same as well. All the best. I know that you are definitely going to be doing some great things as well. I can't wait to see where this takes you. I'll definitely
Thank
be
you.
following my first mind.
There you go. Alrighty, guys. Thank you.
Okay, have a good night, okay?
You too. Bye.
Bye. All right, guys, that was another great conversation. Oh my gosh. It's a lot to think about when we got to think about our intuition and how powerful our intuition is. It really does talk to us. Following your mind, especially that first thought that comes into your mind. That's why I said I like the title of her podcast, Follow Your First Mind, because once you listen to that first thought in your mind, then you go with that. But if you ponder and start thinking about, is that right? Other thoughts kind of start creeping in, and then you're like, nah, maybe I shouldn't, or maybe this is going to happen, or maybe that is going to happen. So intuition is huge. I mean, we all have it. It's super important to make sure that we're following our gut instinct when we have that feeling in ourself, our stomach, when we're having those nerves, when all of a sudden we get goosebumps. All of a sudden, it's just there's so many things. You all know it. We all have it. It all arrives differently for each and every one of us, right? So it's important, and of course, having that faith, man, having that faith to step out and understanding that we don't know. We just got to have faith, and we just got to roll with the punches. And I think, as she said, this last couple of years, we don't know how long this panty is going to last out here. You know what I'm saying? But we're out here, we're doing this, and we realize that we are not in control. We don't know what's going to happen. Now they're talking, I just seen some clip on Instagram about COVID-22, and I'm just like, I don't know what's happening, man. This is crazy. They're talking, this is surpassing this next thing that we have coming in, the Delta. So we really don't know what's going on. All we can do is literally have faith and just live our daily lives. Just keep it moving, keep it pushing, and try to keep it positive as we possibly can. And I'm definitely going to start to think about that spirit, soul, and body, and making sure that we're all making that in alignment. That I'm making sure that I have that in alignment, because that's a serious talk. We got to think about making sure that it's all lining up here. You know what I'm saying? So that we can be the best that we can and leave that impression on everybody else. Because what else do we have, right? So we can't go. We're all, the end for each and every one of us is going to be the same. It's, we're all heading out of this life the same way. So we got to make sure that we leave that impact. And as always say, we're all destined for greatness. And we got to make sure that we leave that great impression on everybody else. So guys, thank you so much for joining me on What's the 411. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys for rocking with me week after week after week. All right. I want to send a big shout out to everybody in the chat right now. I want to send a big shout out to all of you guys who have joined the summit. If you haven't gotten a chance to watch it, don't worry, it's on the website, okay? So make sure that it's on YouTube. So make sure that you click my link tree in the bio and check it out. Watch the show. Let me know what you thought about it. You have a lot of talent, okay, guys? Make sure you check out the talented individuals that we have right here in our country, okay? Canada is a big country and there's a lot of great people that are in it doing phenomenal things. So make sure you guys check it out. And not to mention, the marketplace is still up. The marketplace is still up, so you're still able to head onto the marketplace, check out the different vendors, and fill up your carts. Shop, support local brands, and even brands that are not local. You know what I mean? Just supporting other great brands. All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining, and I will see you next week, same time, same place. All right. Take care. Bye, guys.